First up, though, let's talk to Chris Phillips. He's a former head of the National Counter-Terrorism Security Office and joins us once again. Chris, thank you very much indeed for joining us. We spoke to you, of course, on Thursday while, we were in the immediate aftermath of this terror attack. Can you tell us there's an awful lot of information that's come out about the killer, Jihad Al-Shamie. Least of all, his name, which is a bit of a concern. Tell us everything we now know about this man.
Yeah, well, this man does not appear to have been on the terror watch list, which on its own is a bigger concern than anything, actually. It just goes to show how many people we've got to be concerned about in the UK, that he wasn't considered one of the on the terrorist watch list. But certainly he was a man who lived very close to the location of his attack. And also concerning is that he was arrested quite recently for rape and is currently on bail.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. That's a good result for mankind, I think. The simple fact is that this is a man who clearly harbored a lot of hysterical worry about the West, and decided to go out and do something very similar, actually, to the attacker on Westminster Bridge back in 2017, where he didn't show up on the government's watch list, but actually was very, very dangerous.
They often don't. All we have people who do, they've been on the list, and they're basically, the security sources have said, look, we've got a load of other people who are even more of a risk, so we're not going to be too bothered about this. But Syrian-born, came with his parents at a young age, British nationality, but he followed a hate preacher who'd called Jews animals. He out on bail for rape. He'd also made direct threats by email identifying himself to his local MP over his support for Israel. And he was reported to police. The MP got more security. But the police never even interviewed him. So someone identifies themselves, lives nearby, makes a direct death threat to the police about to an MP, and the police don't even think it's worth interviewing them. But my God, if I wrote a tweet misgendering somebody, the police would turn up at my door, wouldn't they?
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
Chris, unfortunate.
Well, it's worse than that. But the point is, I don't know how much information was relayed to the police and how much.
The MP reported it to the police because he had his security stepped up.
We just don't know exactly what's gone through, and that will come out in the clearness of time, I think.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. We've got to take these people seriously. We've got to take people that issue threats very seriously. And of course, none of us want to police the social media and stuff, but people like this do need to be stopped.
Yeah, and also, again, he was like a cannabis-smoking university dropout. He was controlling and coercive in relationship. Again, police would know those bits. But, he literally ticks every box for someone who was likely to possibly be a risk, and his behaviour suggests he was a risk. Now, we've got a lot more detail also about the actual attack itself that's emerged over the weekend. And initially, obviously, we knew we had two people, when I was on air on Thursday, two people who had died, and we had three people who were injured. And then it later emerged that one of the people who died had been stabbed by Jihad Al-Shamie, and the other was behind the door of the synagogue, desperately among the men trying to hold it closed heroically, who then appears to have been shot by the police when they fired at the terrorist. An absolute tragedy, and another person in hospital also has gunshot wound. Now, the Greater Manchester Police referred themselves, for investigation. But look, you've carried a weapon. You understand these things. My heart goes out to those who've died or been injured. My heart goes out to the families of those heroic men who fought off this attacker. But also, my heart goes out to the police officer who fired those shots.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, I've seen the photo of the terrorist standing in front of the doors, and it was pointed out to me. You don't even necessarily see. You imagine the focus. You're focusing on that terrorist with the knife.
Yeah.
You don't see the men's faces in the windows.
No.
And
but also, you've already got a security guard in a pool of blood on the floor beside you.
Yeah, and they had to deal with it very quickly. They've got split seconds to react. They fired their gun, and clearly, at least two of the bullets didn't hit their target. They went past. And this is one of the dangers of firearms that is untold, really, is that you see, in the movies, you see all these people firing guns, but you don't see the bullets landing. And
but is it right that
it's got to hit something?
Yeah, well, also there's some thought that it may have gone through the first bullet, not killing Al-Shamie, but it may have gone through him and hit somebody else. But I understand that the counter-terror police are now using sort of some more high-velocity bullets that are more likely to kill a terrorist, but they also pose an extra risk to passers-by and to innocents. So, there's a trade-off, isn't there? I mean, that's the thing. If he had managed to push open that door, and if those men weren't behind that door, he would have been able to do that. He could have killed far more, and the police could have killed more in a shootout, in the synagogue. So the awful truth is they did the right thing.
You're right. Interestingly, we always used to use bullets that would stop in the person. But of course, if you're wearing a bulletproof vest, or as he was wearing something that looked like he was going to explode, they have to kill him immediately, and they need a bullet that's going to take him out. But the payoff for that is if that bullet goes through him or goes through a door, there are going to be people behind that door. And the amazing thing really is that there's been no outcry from the Jewish community about these poor people that were shot by police officers. They knew the situation. That's not something we have with other communities. No. when accidental shots are discharged.
No, indeed. And where are you when it comes to these marches being there's this move to give police the powers to curb these marches, or particularly repeat marches? We know under the Public Order Act the police already do have power. We know that in a 7-year period they actually banned 13 marches, 10 of which I think were English Defence League, so-called far right marches. So we know they've got the power to do that if they believe there is going to be violence. Now, we've got these pro-Palestinian marches, we're told, but given the scale of arrests we're seeing, given the outrageous anti-Semitism, given the intimidation that people feel, I mean, is it now time to say this isn't about freedom of speech anymore? This is about deliberately intimidating a minority community in this country, and it needs to stop.
Yeah, well, we do need to prevent ridiculous marches going on time and time again. Unfortunately, in this country, we have got to rent a crowd. We've known it for years. Some people will turn up to any crowd in order to cause problems. And we see that time and time again. And what we have now is a group of people that they've got lots of time on their hands that want to take up police time and our time, and are within this committing offences and getting arrested. So we need to do something about it. We cannot allow this type of criminality on our streets.
What do you make of there's almost like a competition at the moment between, the Home Secretary and the Prime Minister and then the Conservatives and Reform in terms of what we'll do in terms of deporting people who are illegally, or deporting people who, and Kemi Badenoch was saying at the start of the Tory Party conference, deporting people who display blatant anti-Semitism and the like. Do we, is that where we need to go?
There are far too many people, and this man was an unknown. I know what you said about the threatening of the MP, but he wasn't on the terrorist watch list. How many more people do we have of his ilk in this country? We just
thousands, tens of thousands. We know that. We know we've got tens of thousands of these people.
We've got to do something about this. And what amazes me, as a right-leaning person, is that the Conservatives didn't deal with this 10, 15 years ago when it was brewing up. And all the politicians have been scared out of their life to deal with a problem that everyone in the country can see formulating.
Absolutely.
And we will have more of these types of incidents.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Until something is done about it.
Absolutely. Chris Phillips, former head of the National Counter-Terrorism Security Office, thank you very much indeed for that.